In the 1 month, so from the 7th of October until now, 9,370 Palestinians have been killed and 1,405 Israelis have been killed. Now the loss of even one life is a crime against humanity, but we're talking about a 667% increase of Palestinians who are losing their life. And the same goes for those who are injured. In what world is this okay?
I'm in 2.2.
It's not, is it?
No.
Now, if we were to compare this to the likes of the Ukraine war, over the last 19 months, so over 1.5 years, it's really unfortunate that over 9,500 Ukrainians have been killed, as a result of the war. But when I talk about comparing, so imagine those 1.5 years versus 1 month. How ridiculous is that we've got world leaders, that we've got our own politicians from even this town, from our country, from our nation, who can't speak up and call it out for what it is. Every hour in Gaza, 15 people are killed, and out of them 6 are children. 35 people are injured. 42 bombs are dropped. 12 buildings are destroyed. And if anyone is curious, I've got this information from Al Jazeera with the help of my son, who likes to do his little bits of research, because we also know it's so important to get the youth involved, to get young people involved, to educate them, so they don't believe the willy-nilly that they see on social media or what is being biasly reported.
God, she's going for it.
So that's one thing that at least we can all take away today whenever we're presented with any statistics or any facts. Find out where the source is coming from. That's certainly one thing that I'm teaching to any child that I know. So if we think about it this way, we were getting lots of people here. Imagine now, if I were to say for every group of 8 people, right, 7 people were to sit down. So do you think we could do that? So within every group of 8, 7 people sit down. This is what the statistics look like in the death toll in Palestine.
We don't need
the people who are standing up represent those who are staying alive, as in like the people who live in Israel. The people who are all sitting on the ground are people who are dead. That is how important it is. Because imagine being in your home and being told, this is not your home, get out of here. But thank you so much for everyone participating, because I think it's so important visually to understand the impact. And that's why obviously we're calling for a ceasefire. But one thing as well I want you to highlight. So this is another question for everybody. Could you please put your hands up if you have written to your MP? And keep your hand up if you have been happy with their response. So there are lots of other politicians. I'm really curious to hear what Alan Smith actually has to say. Because I have seen some responses from some MPs. And to be quite frank, a lot of the reply has been nothing short of pathetic, to be honest. We all know at least one MP, so I'm targeting MPs because they're members of Parliament of the UK government who has the power to actually, take action. So we all know of at least one MP who has a fragile ego. They're very quick to defend themselves when they're called out for racism, rather than admit their shortfall. Their power, their position, their privilege in society has put them on a self-erected pedestal. But in reality, if we were to call it out for what it is, this is just another version of white supremacy. Because this is where these people and these powers and these positions and these privileges feel that the people that look like us are more deserving than others. And that is when we talk about the dehumanization process. So therefore, their words, their actions and behaviours reflect that as well. How many people have here heard the condemnation of Hamas?
Your hand up, Anna. Yeah, perfect.
And how many people have heard the condemnation of Israel? So by only focusing, by condemning Hamas, by only focusing on that one point, they're discrediting themselves as a critical thinker. And then no wonder politicians have a bad name. No wonder the population is so disengaged with politics, because they're not the people who they said they are to be, or they're not the people who they make themselves out to be. These people, to be quite frankly, should not be in any positions, like as an MP, if they can't stand up for justice in a fair and equitable manner. You have to tell all sides of the story. It's like saying to a victim of a bully, of a perpetrator, that you're not allowed to fight back. If they hit you, you have to stand there and just take it. 75 years of being victimised. How ridiculous, honestly, how ridiculous does that sound? If anybody who's been bullied here in your life.
Did she say 75 or 65?
Yeah, there's lots of people who have been bullied. So imagine if you were told, no, you have to take it. How fair is that? And these are the things that we need to raise again and again. One last point that I'd like to say and to take away is about the use of our language, because we're here because we want to see action, yeah? We're not here just to stand with our placards and wave our flags, but we want real action. We want ceasefire. We want there to be justice. We want the war crimes to be recognised and actually something being done about them, not just being talked about. And it was about using the term genocide. Now we know that politicians, media, anybody in an influential position, they don't want to use that word of genocide. But let's just take a moment and think about, what does that word actually mean? So taken from the Holocaust Memorial Day Trust UK website, genocide is a definition that has been accepted by the United Nations.
Look at the quality better.
We talk about the killing members of the group, causing seriously bodily or mental harm to members of that group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, and forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Now, out of these 5 points, how many of these do you think is applicable to the Palestine people? All 5 of them, yeah? So why are those who are in those positions of influence, even everyday people, if you were to talk about this, people are afraid to use that word genocide. So we need to educate ourselves and use that correct terminology. I'm all about terminology and the use of language. It's about using that language and making it clear. And any reply that you're going to put out, even if we come up with the definition of genocide, defining it and equating it to what the people of Palestine have had to suffer for the past 75 years, let's call it for what it is, and we need to be more vocal. We will not be silenced because of being called a possible extremist for using these words. And similarly, when we talk about apartheid, that's also something that is not a very comfortable word to use. But we need to go back into our schools as well, into our places of work, into our community, into our society, and normalise the use of these words, especially when we're talking about the people of Palestine. Because then and only then will it start to trickle through. We need to educate our children, we need to educate our youth, we need to educate our schools to be able to have the confidence, because there's no harm in asking why not. If someone is not wanting to use those words, ask them why not. Is it because of confidence? Is it because of lack of knowledge? So how do we empower ourselves? How do we empower others? And a great way to doing that is through education, because the facts, the information, the statistics, everything is out there, and we need to use our voices to amplify that. Thank you very much.